So, if you're familiar with high-level Castlevania gameplay, you're probably curious about the length of this video. 42 minutes, isn't that a little bit excessive for two playthroughs of Castlevania 1? And the answer is that yes, it is excessive. My goal with this run was not to do any kind of speed run or complete it with any kind of alacrity. It was purely to get through both quests without dying. That was my sole goal, and in pursuit of that goal, I used some strategies that were more safe and more consistent, but also as a consequence, a lot slower. And if you're not familiar with high level Castlevania gameplay, then to give you some context, most speedruns of this game are under 15 minutes, and the current world record speedrun is a little bit under 11 minutes. So roughly 20 minutes per run of this game is pretty excessive. But that's my reason for it. And the reason I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about anything that's going on the screen right now, is because level 1 of Castlevania has what I like to call the NES difficulty curve, where the first level is so easy you can do it while you're blindfolded, and then by the time you get to the third level, it's the hardest fucking thing you've ever done in your entire life. When I talk about levels, I'm talking about stage blocks, like the first three stages are level 1, the second three stages are level 2, etc., etc. And I might screw that up at some point, but oh well. Getting this footage was a real pain in the ass. Trying to get it, pretty much everything you could imagine going wrong went wrong, and it took a while to get that to not happen. This was not a place where anything ever went wrong, though. I don't think I've ever died to this boss. Uh, but pretty much every other level in the game. See that? Okay, what I just did there, that little backwards jump I did off the block, that's actually a frame perfect trick. If the game reads a directional input opposite the direction that you're facing and a jump on the same frame, then it does what you just saw there with the backwards jump. I could never do that on purpose. I just do it like by accident when I'm jumping around. But speedrunners do it as part of a trick to kill Dracula faster, which I might talk about when we get to Dracula. So level 2 is the first place where a run can really go wrong because it's the first place where you encounter these like instant kill death pits. The fact that you get knocked back when you take damage in this game, combined with the existence of death pits, is a major source of its difficulty, as people have said. Hmm. Okay, so the reason I did the room like that, like whipping at nothing in the air, is because I'm training myself for the hard mode version of this room, which is a lot trickier. So I'm just getting my muscle memory down to make sure that I know exactly what I'm going to do when I have to do this for real. Because level 2 on normal, things can go wrong. Level 2 on hard is like a serious run killer. Like it's way, way, way easier for disasters to occur at that point. The Medusa heads are an interesting enemy. A lot of people who play this game have trouble with them, and I definitely had a lot of trouble with them when I started playing the game. And it's because Castlevania is a game where you kill things, and your instinct with the Medusa heads is to try to kill them. But the best way to deal with them is basically to just try to avoid them, which I'll talk about more later. The reason I pick up the stopwatch there is because I don't really need the stopwatch here, but again, it's like a hard mode preparation because I do need the stopwatch for this room that I just entered right now on hard mode because there are these three spikes that come down coming up, and on hard mode you have to deal with Medusa heads and the spikes at the same time. See, this is also an example of slow play. This is ridiculous. Like, there's no reason for me to stopwatch between each and every single one of these spikes, but I do it anyway because I fucking hate like insta-kill spike platforms that come down on you. They're so anxiety-inducing. They're so stressful. It's so like oh, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. Don't fuck up the timing. I hate it. I hate it so much. Uh, Speedrunners actually do use the stopwatch on that point, I think, or at least they did last time I checked. But I think they use it like once to go through all three of them. So I literally took triple the time on that I had to. Yeah, Medusa heads. See, yeah, you basically just walk right past them or like jump over them. That's how you're intended to deal with them. It's thematically fitting. You're not supposed to look at the Medusa head. You get it? You can look at this Medusa head though, because this boss is not challenging. You can just stunlock it with the stopwatch. And unfortunately, that's the last boss you can do that for. The stopwatch doesn't work for any of the other bosses. If you try to use the stopwatch on any bosses aside from this one, they'll freeze for like one frame. But for some reason, this boss gets stunlocked by it, and I don't know why. It almost feels like it shouldn't be the case. It feels like that shouldn't happen, but I can't complain about it really because it just is one fewer potential point of error in the run. So I'll just be happy with it. Level 3, people said level 3 is a big difficulty spike, and I agree because again, death pits. Death pits and birds, the fucking birds in this level. But I'll talk about that when I get to them. With these Igors here, I think I could walk past them and then turn around and swing at them as they come down. But again, like I said at the start, I'm just going for like the slowest, most consistent strats that I possibly can. I don't want anything to go wrong. I want to control as much as I possibly can. So if there's a faster way to do it, I really don't care. Yeah, look at this fucking bird. Look at how scared I am of this bird. This is completely warranted. If you've been knocked into that pit that I just jumped over by that bird as many times as I have, you'd be that scared of it too. Okay? Trust me. Okay, so I pick up the holy water here. I'm going to drop the holy water for the stopwatch in a minute, and the only reason I pick up the holy water at all is because of that bone throwing skeleton right there. Because it's tricky. I mean, you can get him with a falling swing, and it's not that hard, but it is trickier than just throwing a bottle of water at him, and that's just what I preferred. Pretty the easier thing. That guy who just jumped off the ledge there, he could jump off to the left like that, and everything's perfect, or he could jump to the right into the wall somehow, and it really fucks everything up, and it usually means I take damage there. But this time, fortunately, he was kind to me. So, speaking of slow play, we are now in the slow play zone because I will be using the stopwatch for pretty much all these turrets, but the reason I pick up the stopwatch is because of those two birds that I just killed. If those two birds weren't there, I would maybe think about just using the holy water and saying fuck it and just trying to figure out the timing perfectly on the turrets. But those two fucking birds and the things that those birds do, oh my god. You're gonna see it on hard mode what they do. Here they're pretty much fine, but on hard mode they're awful. So those two birds are the reason why I insist on picking up the stopwatch here. The timing on hitting these birds up on those statues is kind of strange. It's hard to explain if you've never played the game, but you have to like jump before you think you have to jump. Speaking of jumping, that guy that I just killed, 99% of the time he'll do that. He'll jump when he's supposed to jump, but like 1% of the time, I swear to God, he jumps late and knocks me off the platform and kills me. But that time he behaved himself, fortunately. And now we're on the worst boss fight in the entire game. I hate this boss, and I'm giving it exactly the amount of respect it deserves. I hate it because of exactly what you're watching right now. All this boss wants you to do is just hold down the fucking B button like an idiot and not use your brain at all, and just hit them until they die. The only times I've ever fucked up this boss if I ever tried to do anything besides just brainlessly hold down the B button, and I hate it because there's absolutely no finesse or strategy to it, and I just that's my least favorite kind of boss fight where it's just like fucking hold down the attack button. No, with no like I said, no finesse to it. Stage 10, on the other hand, does take some finesse. Stage 10 is all about timing. There's a bat that spawns on the right here, but if I go super fast like this, I can get to this platform before the bat spawns, and then I freeze time to stop the fish guys from jumping up, down, out of the water and hitting me, so that way I can just run ahead. I can get ahead of all these other fish that you see jumping up behind me, which is really what I want, and I can get to this spot. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. That's so good. Oh, I love seeing that. The bat and the fish that jumps out of the water in front of the platform both died on exactly the same swing. So it's like every problem that could have eventuated at that point was just erased in a single swing. And I stay on the right of the platform there to stay ahead of those guys jumping out of the water there. And now I'm out of the danger zone, which stage 10 is a big danger zone, and stage 10 on hard mode is an even bigger danger zone. Stage 11 is a lot less eventful and a lot less difficult than stage 10. It's just an Igor gauntlet. It's just a test of timing. Like, do you know the timing on when to swing and hit these guys as soon as they come down? Actually, one thing that can go wrong is that these guys can drop axes when I really want the holy water going into the Frankenstein fight, and you'll see why that is. So that's why I'm kind of pausing and hesitating a little bit if I every time I kill one of these guys who's in front of me. At least I think I am. Okay, I'm not always doing it, but I should be. If I wanted to be safe, I would be. Okay, the trick with these skeleton dragons is spacing. You can stand at a certain like sweet spot distance where they won't shoot fireballs at you that you can't intercept, but it's different for all of them, and it doesn't always work in my experience. And I'm breaking torches here with the holy water because I want to get a shot multiplier eventually for the Frankenstein fight. Yeah, look at this. Ugh, God, that's so bad. I hate that shit, man. I basically just mistimed the holy water swing. It didn't end up mattering, but it very easily could have. Like especially if you don't Especially with how difficult this boss is under normal circumstances. Like taking damage on this little hallway before the boss is kind of a huge problem. Mm. So here I am trying to get trying to stay in another sweet spot. This time he behaved as sometimes that spot is like perfect and he doesn't shoot a fireball that you can't hit, but sometimes it doesn't work and he does. I really can't figure it out. And now we're on to this boss, and I have some bad news for you if you've ever had any trouble with this boss. Turns out this boss is actually easy. All you have to do is just do this, and the boss just dies. Um, I don't feel bad about this. I don't feel bad about cheesing this boss because this boss is so fucking hard to try to do normally. Kind of like with the stopwatch on the Medusa head, it's just like one fewer thing that could go wrong. I have to be grateful for it. And now we get into level 5, which is, in my opinion, the second easiest level in the entire game. At my level of familiarity with it anyway, purely because there's no death bits. Like, I cannot remember the last time I died on level 5. It kicked my fucking ass the first time I played, of course, as it often does with people who play this game, but it's just there's no birds, there's no insta-kill pits, there's no spikes. It's just like pure combat the whole way through. And so my level of consistency with this part of the game is really, really, really high as a result. If I fuck up, I don't get punished nearly as badly. So I'm trying to push this guy over to the right, and I do, and then he just fucking walks back to the left. I can't believe this happened. This guy's such a fucking asshole. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I could still go up those stairs even if he was all the way to the left like that, but I'm so used to going up the stairs with him on the right that I just wanted him to be where he always is. So I go down the stairs here, and this is just I think this is the first appearance of the red skeletons. The red skeletons don't die ever, so you have to keep worrying about them until they're off the screen. Um, Igor's behaved this time. They didn't like jump over my swings. They didn't get super aggressive. So that's good. There's a meat in one of the blocks back there, but I don't need it, so I don't get it. Um, okay, these armor guys actually are kind of tricky to fight. That throw that I just did there with the holy water, that can really easily hit the bottom left corner of the leftmost block above me. So the fact that I hit that is something I'm really, really happy with. Getting a phone call? Who the fuck is calling me? That was so bizarre. I never fucking get phone calls ever. Yeah, this is a live recording in case you couldn't tell. Very, very professionally done. I just didn't really want to bother writing a whole script, especially when I pretty much knew what I wanted to say. But actually that was good timing because I don't really have very much to say about level 5, mostly because it is so easy. Um, again, for me, like those armor guys, if you try to fight them normally, are really hard to deal with because it doesn't they don't seem like the kind of enemies that you should get hyper aggressive with, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just stay in their face, keep them walking backwards, stop them from ever actually throwing an axe at you. Level 5 is all about teaching you to conquer your fear. That's why it's full of skeletons, because it's trying to scare you, and the way that you win is by overcoming that fear. So coming up shortly is what I call the Grim Reaper hallway, and the Grim Reaper hallway into the Grim Reaper is definitely one of the most vicious difficulty spikes in the entire game for your first time going through it because it's very hard. You can't go through it slowly. You can't go through it methodically. You can't like think about what you're doing. You have to maintain a forward pace the whole time, and that's because of these Medusa heads coming in. Medusa heads, dudes throwing axes at you, like it's really hectic for your first time playing through the game. I know what to do, so for me, it's not a problem at all, but it was really tricky for me the first time I played this game. I don't know how many attempts this took me the first time I played. It was like it's just too many, and it leads into the hardest boss fight in the entire game, who's only the hardest boss fight if you don't do this. If you do this, he's easy. If you try to fight him normally without this holy water stunlock, he is the fucking hardest boss in the entire game, and it's not close. I have beaten this boss without the Holy Water Stunlock before, and I don't even think of the Holy Water Stunlock as a cheese as a result. This feels like the intended way to beat this boss. Because this boss is so, so hard without the Holy Water. And I can't explain it to you. I can't explain how hard it is without showing you footage of it, and you definitely can't understand how hard it is without doing it yourself. So now we're coming up on my least favorite part of the entire game, with my least favorite enemies in the entire game. These bats, these fucking bats. I hate these bats more than anything else in any video game because I don't understand how they work. I spent like when I was collecting this footage, I was just losing run after run after run to these fucking bats. And I like practiced this area for like 2 hours with a save stage just to try to figure out how the fuck they work. And I couldn't put it together. So eventually I just said fuck it. And I decided to just look up what speedrunners do and then just do exactly what they do for the entirety of that stage. And I don't understand any of it, but I just do it because I needed a consistent way to get through that part of the stage. But now that I'm past it, it's pretty much smooth sailing from this point on. Things can go wrong. Going into this next room with 12 hearts is good because there's a 5 heart drop on one of these torches, which means I can get over 15 hearts, which means 3 time freezes through the this Igor area, which is pretty good because all I want to do is just get to Dracula without taking any more damage. I'm not worried about anything else. This is kind of an awkward time freeze because there's this eagle on the fucking stairs, but I just froze time because I wanted to drop down safely there. I wanted to drop down without an eagle coming in or dropping an Igor an eagle dropping an Igor onto that platform. And now I'm pretty much safe. The Dracula fight is kind of like the Grim Reaper hallway and the Grim Reaper fight for me at this point, where it's extremely difficult the first time you play the game, but once you get it down, it's really not hard. And because there's no fucking death pits involved, if you fuck up, the punishment is just taking off a quarter of your health rather than just instantly killing you. And going into Dracula with 3 health is not bad at all in that context. I say 3 health because, like I just said, or maybe I didn't make it clear enough. Dracula only does damage in multiples of 4. He'll only do 4 damage to you. So 12 health is functionally the same as 3 health. The reason I'm killing torches there with the cross is because I want that to happen. I want to make sure the 10th cross that I kill drops the shot multiplier, and then the 11th one hits the holy water torch on the far left there and gets me the holy water. So that way I have the holy water, I have the shot multiplier going into phase 2, and here I fuck up so bad. This is so embarrassing. Oh my god, this is so bad. Okay, so what went wrong there was Dracula has a certain pattern to how he attacks you, where like he'll face to the left and then he'll like face to the right. And you want to be walking in the direction that he's going to face because you don't want to walk into him. If you walk into him, you take damage, and if you try to walk past him, then he'll like turn around, but like his whole sprite turns and like thrusts his magnificent chest forward and hits you. And it's really, really difficult to try to get past him for that reason without taking damage. But once if you do it like this, like I'm doing, following this pattern, then it's a lot safer. And now I'm kind of in the groove, even though I fucked up horribly at the beginning. So I'm in pretty calm waters at this point. But this is not a situation I want to be in. Like I really don't want to be 1 hit away from death on Dracula because this phase takes so long, and it's just such a rigorous and repeated test of your understanding of the timing of the boss fight. That's basically what it's testing. And having to correctly execute all this so many times is tricky. And now I've cornered myself. Now I've cornered myself on stage 2 of Dracula. So if this guy breaks out of my stun lock and jumps at me, I'm gonna fucking die. So I have to pull this off almost perfectly, and it actually is almost perfect. Uh, the pattern is supposed to be jump, whip, jump, throw holy water, and you throw the holy water in the air because that way the bottle passes through his top hitbox and damages him, then drops the fire and stun locks him. And I almost do it perfectly, but not quite. I think I whipped at the wrong time at some point there. But hey, I got through it. I was 1 hit away from death. I didn't choke. I didn't beef. I didn't fuck up. Well, I did fuck up, but I didn't fuck up enough to die, and I got through the fight. So I'm happy with that. I'd be happier with a perfect Dracula, but I'll take what I can get. And now we get to enjoy the credit sequence above this tranquil sea of pine trees. Music by James Banana. You know, it's strange. The Castlevania series is so like, or this Castlevania game is so like serious and it's like it's full of monsters and it's like it's horrible and it's dramatic, horrible in the horror sense, and it's dramatic. But then it has like these joke credits, and I've always been mystified by these. Like I understand that most of them are references to real actors. I get like 80% of them, but I don't understand like. Okay, Cafe Bar Red? Who the fuck is Cafe Bar Red supposed to be an allusion to? And who the hell is Green Stranger supposed to be a reference to? I mean, I like the name. I like the name Green Stranger. It's a pretty good band name, but I don't get it. I don't know who Cafe Bar Red is supposed to be. I played the greatest role in the story. Well, thank you for saying so. But the story is not over yet. Believe it or not, that was the easy part. Now we have to actually do the hard part. Why am I just standing here? Oh, it's because it's because I think I went up. I got up to like go get a drink of water or something during the credits because I didn't know which one of these attempts was going to be the successful one. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll just go and get water during the credits because I'll probably die on level 2 or something. It's my thought process. So level 1 on hard mode is different from level 2 on normal mode, primarily in that on hard mode it's actually possible to die on level 1. And that's because everything does 4 damage to you, and because the game starts to employ the tried and true Castlevania difficulty increasing method of just throwing fucking bats at you, like nonstop. There are so many more bats on hard mode in the NES Castlevania games, and they are unironically the most dangerous enemy in the entire game. I have died more to bats than any other enemy in this game, and I'm including bosses. Look at that shit. See, this is what I mean when I say it's possible to die. I get clipped on the fucking staircase and it knocks off 4 health. So that's why this level can actually be theoretically dangerous because everything's moving faster and everything does way more damage. I never died on this in my attempts getting this footage, but I'm certain I died on this level when I first played this. Look at that. It spawns right out of the fucking wall right in front of your face. Ridiculous. Oh, look at this. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Dude, the fish on hard mode are on fucking crack. Like, they're insane. And that jump there, like the timing is so tight, and I was always afraid that I was gonna fuck it up, but somehow that was the one thing in the entire run that I like never fucked up. I never fucked up the timing on that jump, even though I feel like I very easily could have. I guess lucky me. Um, I like the way this jar looks in the playback. Where you like glow blue like that. It doesn't look like that in the game. In the game, you're like flickering, but I guess as a consequence of this recording, it looks strange. I don't really know why that is. Yeah, I'm sure I've died on this boss on hard mode before because when I first played this game, I didn't know about the axe into the shot multiplier. So I like, and if you're just jumping around trying to hit this guy with your whip, it's pretty easy for him to damage you. And if you go in already hurt, because it's hard mode and you take 4 damage, and this guy like bops you a couple times, I'm sure I died to this guy before. Not during these attempts, but at some point in the past. And now we're going into a serious difficulty spike. That's a difficulty spike even in the context of these deathless attempts. Level 2 hard mode is a gigantic uptick in difficulty from level 2 on normal mode. Because instead of throwing bats at you, they throw fucking medusa heads at you. But fortunately, as you might remember, I'm prepared for it. You know, I went through the room in a certain way on normal mode so that I have it in my muscle memory perfectly. I have it down to a science. I know exactly what I'm doing every second. Check this out. Jump, throw, walk forward, fuck up, get hit, useless, whatever. It's still good to practice. Even if the practice doesn't pan out, you should do it anyway. So that jump is especially harrowing because sometimes a Medusa head will spawn right from the fucking wall, like you saw that bat do earlier, and it's and that's also why I threw a boomerang there, even though there was nothing there. It was like just in case a Medusa head spawns. Because what's tricky about them is not just understanding the pattern of their movement, but also like the that's so embarrassing, but also the timing of their spawns and like when they're gonna do it. See, that's also why I throw a boomerang there, because I can't tell you how many times Medusa heads have spawned out of that corner and fucking hit me. And this is not a part of the game where you want to be taking unnecessary damage because it's so easy to accidentally get bopped by these Medusa heads. But fortunately, there's a little sweet spot here where I'm standing right now. If you stand here, the Medusa heads for some reason don't spawn, so I can take my time and time my jump across this platform because that's what this is all about. What makes this hard is that they're throwing Medusa heads at you, which you need to be moving forward to see. That's so bad. Which you need to be moving forward to avoid while also platforming. And what went wrong there is I turned around for a second and the Medusa heads also spawn based off what direction you're facing. So a Medusa head came at me from an angle I wasn't expecting, and it fucked up my like positioning, and it fucked up my mojo. And at this point, I was certain I was going to die because I was like out of the groove, and I'd gotten knocked off, and I'd taken all this unnecessary damage. But I managed to find the right timing. And here, I don't want to fucking deal with it. I just want to get out of this room, so I freeze time. Even though I don't really want to, I want to save it for this part. I just felt like if I let that Medusa head live, it was just guaranteed to knock me off again and kill me. And I just wanted to at least have a shot at getting through this room. And actually, 10 hearts is enough because Although the Medusa heads come at you during this little spike area, they only come at you through the first two. See, that's why I only froze time for the first two. By the time I'm through the first two and I'm waiting for the third one, the Medusa heads stop spawning, so I can just do it like normally, which I don't like to do, but it's not difficult. It's not fucking impossible, which is what trying to do that part with the Medusa heads coming at you is. I seriously don't get what they were like. There are certain parts of Castlevania games where the stopwatch feels like it's fucking mandatory, and I hate it. Like I don't get what they were expecting you to do in that situation. Whatever. Yeah, here, and now what I've done also by stopwatching there is I've opened myself up to a potential fuck up on this boss because now I don't have enough hearts for the stun lock, which is three. And to make matters worse, I freeze time before the boss spawns, so I waste five hearts. Now I only have enough hearts for one time freeze instead of the three that I need for the stun lock. And at this point, I'm certain I'm going to die because I can't tell you how long it's been since I last fought this boss normally. But I guess this boss is just fucking easy, and it just dies. So even though I screwed up really badly, that was a terrible level two. I guess it wasn't bad enough to kill me. So I can be thankful for that. Level three is harder on hard mode, but the fundamental problems are still the same. Oh, look at that! That's wonderful. Welcome to welcome to level three, motherfucker. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's why you don't fucking turn around when the Medusa heads are involved, man. You just keep going forward and you just keep looking forward. Don't look at them, like I said. But yeah, the fundamental perils of level three are the pits and the birds, and those have not changed. The only difference on hard mode is that the fact that the birds do four damage is more of a problem because they're really difficult to avoid. I like to call level three bird hell, and you're about to see why. Okay, so this bird is pretty much normal. I killed him exactly the last time. And this guy, look at that. Look at that. What's he doing? Why is he doing that? What's he like? Oh, I hate that so much. Like I don't understand what the fuck you're supposed to do there. I guess you're supposed to do what I did, but I that's why I fight him. And this guy, what's he doing? Why is he not being normal? Why is he not doing what he did last time? Why is he like fucking around? I hate this. I hate this. See, that's why I fucking stopwatch. That's why I fucking stopwatch for the two birds later in the level because they do shit like that. I don't understand what you're supposed to do when you're stuck on tiny platforms and you can't maneuver and they're like going under the fucking floor trying to dive bomb you. Dive bomb you from below, which shouldn't be possible. I'm so glad this guy jumped to the left again. Because this guy jumped to the fucking right and like jumped inside the wall. Like I would have been pissed after that bird shit. And this guy too, I think, yeah, he does this. I don't know. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe I fucked up the timing on the jump. I'm shocked I didn't take damage there. Usually, if I miss the initial swing on that bird, then I always at least take some damage. And now you see. Now you see why I'm stopwatching there because I just have no idea what they're capable of. I have no idea what they're gonna do. And now I just have to not fuck up the timing on these birds, and I'll be pretty much fine. This is actually a pretty good level three, despite my complaints. I don't think I've actually. No, I took damage at the start because the fucking Medusa had like spawn camped me. And here I'm being extra cautious on the turrets because I guess I think I must have thought that I didn't have enough hearts. I usually go into this part of the game with at least 15 hearts, but now I only have 12. And now I'm killing the turrets somehow even more slowly and more cautiously than I was doing before, which I didn't think was possible. But it ultimately ends up not really being relevant because now I have because I freeze time for this guy just to jump over him. Because once you cross a certain threshold, he despawns. But now I have like 8 hearts and nothing to do with them, and they're not going to be of any use in the fucking mummy fight because you can't. Because all you have to do in the mummy fight is this. You know, it's another game of it's another button mash bonanza with the Mummy Brothers, and I can't say anything about it because of how boring it is. Because I've already said everything there was to say about it. Stage 29, on the other hand, is not boring, and I have a lot more to say about it because it's very different on hard mode. Essentially, the difference between stage 10 on normal mode and then stage 29 on hard mode is that on hard mode, the fish are on a much more aggressive, like spawning cycle. I don't really understand how it works exactly, but they basically jump out of the water way earlier than you expect them to. So I do the same thing I did before, where I go to the right super fast to avoid the bat, and this time I position myself here and then intentionally take damage to get boosted forward and then still remain on the platform so I can be on the fast pace that I was on normal mode ahead of all those guys jumping up behind me. And I don't pick up the holy water here for a reason I'll get to in a second. I didn't get like the god swing killing the bat and the fish at the same time there, but it didn't matter. The platform still got there in time. And so then I go forward and I freeze time here to stop myself from getting knocked off the platform by these two fish jumping up there, and then I freeze time again to get past them and stop worrying about them. And here I actually get there so fast that the bat spawns like at my altitude, and I'm expecting him to spawn based on the altitude I'm at when I'm jumping. But that time I was super fast and I got through it consistently. Now the downside of that, the obvious downside of that is now that I don't have the holy water for the Frankenstein fight, I'm going to have to like actually do it. But that's I have a plan for that. Oh, this is so bad. I meant to turn around there and then look at this. I freeze time after the danger has passed. I freeze time after all the enemies have left the screen. I fuck up and then after the consequences of my fuck up have already occurred, then I freeze time. This is really bad. And I still want the stopwatch for the first two dragons because, like I may have alluded to earlier, like there is a sweet spot where you can stand to deal with them, but it's not always consistent and it doesn't always seem to work. So having the stopwatch for that guy and for this guy especially is really good. So I had it for this guy, but I didn't have it for that guy. And plus, I just wasted hearts that I didn't want to waste. So here, instead of the holy water destroying, using instead of destroying torches with the holy water for the multiplayer for the multi shot, I'm destroying torches with the dagger for a multi shot. Because my strategy for this boss will be similar in theme, but different in their execution. And I'm actually worried about this guy damaging me because my hard mode strat for the Frankenstein boss means I actually am going to take some damage. So I don't want to take any unnecessary damage from this guy or from any of his skeletal dragon cohorts. And fortunately, I did not. So I'm very thankful for that. So my strategy here is just to hit this guy as many times as I can before the Igor jumps off of the Frankenstein's head. Then I jump in the corner and I just do this. And I just pray that basically I kill them before they kill me. And it works out here because the Igor actually jumps in front of my line of daggers and stunlocks himself. So I can just rack up a bunch of free damage. And look at that. I'm out of ammo. I'm actually out of hearts. So the fact that I wasted 5 hearts unnecessarily on the Igor gauntlet almost had dire consequences. Because if I had run out of ammo during that fight, I might have had to run, like jump out of my little hiding spot and try to like fight the bosses normally, which could have been super risky, especially if I'd taken more damage on the dragon. So it just goes to show. Well, speaking of taking unnecessary damage, Jesus, this is embarrassing. So it just goes to show how easily things can go wrong in this wrong run, and how every little screw up can have these long term consequences. And this is really bad. Do you remember how I said earlier that I can't remember the last time I died on level 5? I thought this was going to be it. I thought I was just going to like die here. I thought I was going to choke and get killed by a fucking bone thrower. Because usually getting past level 4 is like, okay, it's smooth sailing. Now I've got this. Because the last two levels are identical on hard and on normal, and because I attempted them so many times when I first played this game, they're like ingrained into my brain. So I don't really think of these as being problem areas. I think of level 3 and level 2 and level 4 on hard as being problem areas. But I thought I was going to die here. Obviously I don't, because you're watching the footage of a successful attempt, but that's what I was afraid of. And now, because this level is identical to this level on normal, I have even less to say than I did before. I guess I could talk about the decorum. I like the way that the level looks. I like all the skeletons everywhere. Uh, it's kind of strange, and I'm not the first person to point this out. It's kind of strange that the Grim Reaper, who's the literal personification of death, like works for Dracula. I guess it makes sense thematically in that Dracula's undead. He's conquered death, so I guess death now works for him. Oh, look at that. First attempt slam dunk. Yeah, I don't know if I talked about that on normal mode, but that's how I like to deal with that guy up there. I think you might be able to stand on the stairs and then safely whip at him, if you're at a certain height. But I never really figured that out, so I just like to like throw holy water like a basketball and try to hit him with it. That time it was a first hit. I wish I'd gotten it on normal, but you take the run that you get, not the run that you wish you got. This is probably my favorite level in the entire game because there's no death pits, there's no bullshit. It's just pure like there's no platforming garbage. It's just pure like pure combat. I'm not a big fan of platforming. That's why I don't really like Super Castlevania 4 as much. But that's a yeah. What are these things in the background? They look like washing machines or like Japanese apartments or something. I understand what some of the background stuff is, but I don't get that stuff back there. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of platforming. Does this guy hit me? No, okay. I remember on one of these attempts that guy hit me, and I was fucking shocked because that guy hasn't hit me like it very rarely happens. Yeah, now that I'm looking at the background, I'm kind of confused. What is that little door there? And what is this grate? Is that grate like resting on the stairs? I don't get it. I was so mad when I first learned you could approach the turret like this because I was having so much trouble. That's what I mean when I talk about like an altitude sweet spot on the stairs. Like I wonder if that would work for the armor knight back there. Getting this meat in the wall is completely unnecessary. On hard mode, everything does 4 damage to you, so your health is only relevant in multiples of 4. So 14 damage is functionally the same as 16 damage. 16 through 13 are all identical basically. What is with these empty paintings? I've never noticed this before, but there's these like paintings of nothingness. I wonder if it's symbolic of death, like your face, your personal identity being consumed by the void of non-existence. That's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. He actually almost got out there, and if the Grim Reaper gets out of the stun lock for even a second, you don't want that because he'll spawn his scythes and they can start coming at you. So it looks easy and it is easy, but it's also really punishing for any kind of mistiming in a way that other holy water stun locks kind of are not, because not only will he break out, I feel like he starts running around too. And if you get hit with the scythe while he's running around, then the fight is just out of control. So this second bat here, you're supposed to be able to jump over this bat by like jumping when he starts moving, but like sometimes he just fucking hits you. So that's why I throw holy water there to stop him, to just make absolutely sure he doesn't do it. And look at this bat. Look at that. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. That bat should just kill me. That bat should just knock me off the fucking platform and kill me every single time. But for some fucking reason, their dumb AI has this thing where like if you jump near them, it like scrambles their brain. And I think they're trying to like aim a fireball at you or something. But I would never think to do that in a million years, and it actually pisses me off that it works. Those bats' behavior is just a disaster. Oh, and speaking of disaster, look at that. I don't know if you noticed that, but I dodged that bone by about a single pixel. And if it had hit me, I think it would have knocked me back into the death pit there and killed me. And I think if that had happened, I would have snapped my fucking laptop in half. Because I was trying to get this footage for so long, everything went wrong, and here I finally am on the cusp of success. Oh, this is funny coming up. I'm slamming the B button. I'm slamming the B button as hard as I can, but it doesn't matter because I knew the eagle was coming at me, and I knew that I had 5 hearts, and I didn't want to take damage. But trying to get the game to understand that you're trying to use your sub weapon on stairs is so is so hard. For some reason, it's harder in Castlevania 1 than it is in Castlevania 3. I don't know what the difference is. If you hold the fucking button down in Castlevania 3, then eventually it figures out what you're trying to do. But for some reason, Castlevania 1 just like doesn't get it. Ugh. But I learned from my normal mode Dracula kill that I can get into Dracula with 3 health and then still fuck up horribly and still not die. So I shouldn't really be. Oh, that's funny. I'm so nervous here. Yeah, I stopped for a second there just to like calm myself down. Like my hands were fucking sweating like hell because I've been trying to do this for so long. But I really shouldn't be nervous because I'm pretty consistent with this boss, except of course for that normal mode run that you saw. And now I'm aligned. I know what I'm doing. Left, right, left, right. I like this boss. It takes a long time, but I like how stringently it. Look at that! I hit that from far away. I always swing whenever I jump over the fireballs, even if I don't think I'm going to hit him, just because sometimes I do hit him when I don't think I will. Like that almost could have hit him if I was a little bit closer. So that's why you'll see me doing that. It's just part of the muscle memory of the fight, I guess. I like this fight, and I like how Dracula looks, but I can't quite figure out what he's supposed to be here. Like I can't like I get he's supposed to be some kind of weird deformed monster, but I can't I feel like I've never interpreted his sprite correctly. Like he looks kind of like what does he look like? He looks kind of like Donald Trump wearing like a grotesque Halloween mask with sunglasses on. I'm not complaining. I mean, I like the idea of Dracula being like a weird, fucked up monster man. I don't really like the way Dracula looks in the newer Castlevania games where he's like a sexy gray fox anime man. I know vampires are supposed to be able to resemble human beings, but and I'm not saying every vampire has to be fucking Nosferatu tier gross, but on the spectrum, the vampire spectrum from Nosferatu to Edward Cullen, I think I prefer the vampires on the Nosferatu side. And I also really like the fact that he turns into a big goofy monster at the end. And some people insist on calling the Cookie Monster. I have to say I don't see the resemblance. I guess it's because he's big and he's blue and he's got a big silly mouth, but that's about as far as it goes. And here he breaks out, but it doesn't matter because I haven't cornered myself. That's why cornering myself on normal mode was bad and almost disastrous. But here it didn't matter. I didn't fuck up on phase one, so I had plenty of health, and I got through the fight, and there it is. Stages 1 through 37, no deaths. Plenty of mistakes. Plenty of mistakes, plenty of slow play, but no deaths. 320 beautiful points. 320,000 beautiful points. And the tower collapses. Looks like a controlled demolition to me, but what do I know? Anyway, speaking of Castlevania 3, I have a lot of Castlevania 3 footage collected already, and that's what I'm going to be uploading next, is some Castlevania 3 run-throughs, some hard mode 1CCs, and then normal mode 1LCs. And I'm not going to commentate all of them because there's going to be like 10 runs, and if I try to commentate 10 different runs of the same game, I'm going to end up repeating myself a hell of a lot. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do. I might just do like I'll upload it, and if it has commentary, it has it, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, because I don't want people like wondering is this going to be commentated or not. Um, that's probably what I'll do, but I'll decide that when I get there. Not that it matters. Like, not that anyone's even listening to this. No one's even fucking watching this shit, so I don't even know who the fuck I'm talking to. But uh, but that's what's coming up next. If anybody ever watches this and hears it, thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy what comes next. Thank you.